to jail for obstruction.
You get me?
Obstruction is a physical thing.
What's your name?
What's your name? What's your name and badge number?
Corrupt cops thought they could get away with abuse, but they picked the wrong people to mess with. From former NFL stars to fearless auditors, today we uncover how some officers learned the hard way not to abuse power. And here's where it all started. February 24th, 2024. The Garden of Eden Foundation was hosting a charity event, and the energy was electric. Hundreds of people rolled in, engines roaring, luxury cars gleaming under the sun. Lamborghinis, Porsches, Bentleys, all lined up like a parade celebrating more than just horsepower. It was about giving back, raising funds for a cause that mattered. But just as the excitement hit a peak, trouble lurked around the corner. An Okeechobee Sheriff's deputy spotted some of the participants speeding. Nothing unusual for a rally, but this officer decided it was the perfect moment to flex authority. What started as a simple traffic stop should have been straightforward. Show your license, write a ticket, move on. Easy, right? Except it didn't stay easy. The polite interaction quickly escalated as tensions rose. Engines revved, the crowd grew curious, and onlookers began gathering. And right in the middle of this chaos, you had former NFL Hall of Famer Warren Sapp, just minding his business. Caught in the middle of a storm he didn't start. A man who spent years dodging defenders on the field was about to face a showdown of a completely different kind. The atmosphere was tense. People whispered, cameras clicked, and you could feel the shift from a fun charity rally to something charged, almost combustible. What should have been a routine stop was now spiraling into a confrontation no one anticipated. And the kicker? Warren hadn't even done anything wrong, at least not enough to justify what came next.
I got you going 63. It's a 35 through town. All you guys are hauling ass down the road because you got your stand.
Sorry,
you know what y'all are doing.
No,
Yeah,
I
you
didn't know
do.
it was a speed
You
limit.
got your license?
Her license?
Yeah, her license too. I'm required everybody in the car. You're going 63 in a 35 mile an hour zone.
Just when it seemed like a normal traffic stop, things started spiraling. The deputy claimed Warren Sapp was going 63 in a 35 mile per hour zone, almost double the speed limit, or at least that's what the officer said. Warren and the driver politely explained they didn't realize the limit and had all their licenses ready, but the deputy wasn't hearing it. And then the crowd started forming. People gathered around, cameras rolling, curiosity buzzing in the air. You could feel the tension. What should have been a quick citation was now a spectacle. Warren, calm but assertive, questioned the ticket. "Wait, I didn't go double the speed limit," he said. "What exactly am I being cited for?" But the officer's ego had already taken over, insisting he was right and escalating things unnecessarily.
Because it's almost
Not double, but
okay, but you're almost double. Okay, but you're going over the speed limit.
I got that, but you
Okay.
said doubling the speed limit.
Okay.
You didn't double the speed limit.
Okay, well I got him.
They're exaggerating. Like,
Okay,
hey,
well I
double
got
it.
it, and I wrote for what I got was
I got you, but
63.
you said I took
Okay,
it out.
so I said.
The misunderstanding over double the speed limit became a focal point. Warren had a clear grasp on the facts, and his calm questioning didn't intimidate him. This wasn't about resisting or arguing. It was about knowing his rights. Freedom of speech, the right to ask questions, and to remain composed. All things Warren was acutely aware of. He wasn't just a football player. He was someone who knew how to stand up when something was clearly off. And just like that, a simple speeding ticket was turning into a confrontation that neither side seemed ready to control. The crowd watched, waiting to see what would happen next, sensing the tension building like an electric charge in the air. Here's where it gets even crazier. Despite doing nothing physically to obstruct, Warren was suddenly handcuffed and charged with obstructing official business. The officers twisted his calm questions and legal knowledge into some kind of criminal act, asking for clarification, stating facts, and challenging misinterpretations, now apparently illegal.
Detained for? What am I being detained for? What am I being detained for? I'm listening. What am I being detained for? Please report. What am I being detained for?
We got cameras in that. You got.
No, hey, is it rolling?
Warren stayed composed, repeating over and over, "What am I being detained for?" His voice was firm but respectful, a mix of disbelief and precision. He knew obstruction required a physical act, and he hadn't touched a thing. Yet the officers tried to frame his freedom of speech as criminal interference. This wasn't ignorance, it was willful misuse of power. Warren, unshaken, calmly invoked his rights under the Constitution and cited 1983 deprivation of rights. He knew the law and wasn't afraid to stand on it. The scene became a masterclass in asserting your rights, staying calm, asking questions, documenting everything, and refusing to let a corrupt narrative take hold. And the more the officers tried to push, the more they exposed their incompetence. You could practically feel their panic growing, the ego bruised by someone who wouldn't back down. Warren didn't escalate, he stayed collected, and that alone turned the situation on its head. And now it got even messier. Warren was handcuffed and told he was being detained. But here's the thing, he hadn't done anything remotely deserving of arrest. He repeatedly asked, "Can I speak to a supervisor?" But the officers ignored him. Instead, they kept pushing, applying unnecessary force, shoving him around, and completely misapplying the law. Warren didn't lose his cool. He calmly stated his rights, reminding them he had the right to remain silent, the right to ask questions, and the constitutional protections that everyone deserves. "I haven't done anything. What am I being detained for?" he kept asking, his voice firm, cutting through the chaos. You could almost feel the officers squirming. Every time he spoke, it highlighted their incompetence and how badly they had misread the situation. The tension was palpable. On one side, you had a man who knew the law and was standing his ground. On the other, officers who had already escalated a minor traffic stop into a full-blown rights violation. Cameras rolled, witnesses watched, and every misstep the officers made was documented. It was a textbook example of why knowledge and composure matter when dealing with law enforcement, especially when they're overstepping their authority. And here's the twist that finally turned the tables. A sergeant eventually arrived and immediately recognized who had been arrested. Warren Sapp, NFL Hall of Famer and Super Bowl champion. The officers who had been acting tough suddenly realized the magnitude of their mistake and scrambled to correct it. Within moments, Warren was released and all charges were dropped. It was a stark reminder that celebrity status can sometimes force accountability, but it shouldn't have to. Beyond the immediate release, Warren didn't stop there. He filed a civil rights lawsuit against the Okeechobee County Sheriff's Office for $20 million, demanding justice for the blatant abuse of power he endured. The message was clear. No one, famous or not, should be subject to unlawful arrest or rights violations. And yet this incident perfectly captured how unchecked authority, ego, and ignorance can collide, and how knowing your rights can make all the difference. And just when you thought it couldn't get any more absurd, December 2024, Union City Police Department. Leroy, a First Amendment auditor, was investigating allegations of nepotism and corruption tied to pistol permits. The stakes were high, but Leroy stayed professional, carrying nothing but questions, a camera, and a determination to get answers. He confronted the police chief's wife, Sergeant Michelle Zerone, asking pointed questions about alleged collusion with her husband in issuing or denying permits. Instead of addressing the concerns, she tried to play the victim, claiming harassment simply because a citizen was asking legitimate questions. "You support women," she said, "but now you're harassing me?" It was absurd, a textbook move to deflect accountability. Leroy didn't flinch. Calm, methodical, and legal in his approach, he kept the interaction focused on facts and public interest. When backup arrived, the responding officers, recognizing the legitimacy of Leroy's actions, refused to make any unlawful arrest or trespassing charges. His persistence and professionalism exposed both the ego and incompetence on display, leaving Sergeant Zerone with no choice but to shut down the office, locking herself inside in embarrassment. The entire encounter highlighted just how far some officials will go to avoid accountability, and how staying calm and knowledgeable can turn the tide. Both of these incidents shine a harsh light on the dangers of officers abusing power. From a charity event gone wrong to a First Amendment audit, the common thread is the same. Ignorance, ego, and authority unchecked can escalate situations fast. These stories also show the critical importance of knowing your legal rights. Warren Sapp and Leroy stayed calm under pressure, asserted their protections, and let their knowledge guide their actions. Cameras and public oversight played a massive role, documenting every misstep and preventing further violations. Even routine traffic stops or official inquiries can spiral when officers allow ego to rule their decisions. But preparation, awareness, and composure can make all the difference. These corrupt officers thought they could bully ordinary citizens, but they met people who knew their rights. Lawsuits and exposure followed, proving that abusing power never goes unnoticed, especially when cameras are rolling. Stay vigilant, know your rights, and never let corruption go unchallenged.